Hi there guys, I hope you are having a good day. Now Dillian Whyte has explained he doesn't really believe that Deontay Wilder is going to come back after his loss to Tyson Fury because he's not really showing the right signs considering he had the opportunity to get back in with Tyson Fury, and those dates, those months that he could have had the fight, they have fallen at the wayside. Now obviously there were many controversial kind of conspiracy theories that Deontay Wilder put out there, or many of them his fans created, but he kind of latched onto. Now, Dillian Whyte doesn't believe he's showing the right signs. This is what he had to say. Wilder would be a big fight, but he needs to come back from his own defeat. Coming back from that first defeat after being so dominant for so long is hard. We are boxers, but we are all people who go through things like depression. Who knows if he'll ever come back, or if he'll be the same again. I lost, and straight away, on the way back to the changing rooms, I was like, let's get this rematch done. So there we go, that is what Dillian Whyte has had to say about Deontay Wilder, and obviously he is right. When you lose, there is a decision to make. Anthony Joshua made it, and Dillian Whyte himself made it, to take the immediate rematch. Now, Deontay Wilder did activate that rematch clause, but the fight never happened. And of course, because Deontay Wilder activated that rematch clause, he was going to get a rematch with Tyson Fury, but there was supposed to be a fight happening in July, then it was moved to October. Then there were dates being looked at for December, so we kind of got the idea the fight wasn't going to happen because the date kept getting moved back further and further all the time, and it started to make us wonder, is this fight ever going to happen? Then all of a sudden Tyson Fury said, nah, I'm going to move on. I am not going to allow my career to stagnate because of Deontay Wilder and the fact that he doesn't want to make a date. So he did move on. He tried to fight Caballero on the 5th of December, but that fight didn't happen due to finances and the fact that they didn't believe they could get the pay-per-view numbers to do that fight behind closed doors. So that fight didn't happen, and Tyson Fury then moved on to an Anthony Joshua fight, which will likely happen in June of this year. So the worry isn't necessarily the fact that Deontay Wilder does not get his rematch with Tyson Fury. It's actually more beneficial to his career, because if he loses again to Tyson Fury, if you look at the effect the first loss had on him, and the fact that the rematch didn't happen, if he wanted the rematch, the fight would have happened, but losing again to Tyson Fury, you would have to believe that that would spell the end for Deontay Wilder. So in some way it's good the rematch hasn't happened for him, but also it does tell you a lot about Deontay Wilder. Does it tell us that he doesn't really want it anymore? Does it tell us that he's lost now, so what is there left in the game for him to do? Does he believe he is capable of beating Tyson Fury? If he did, why didn't he get back in there with him at the first opportunity? Does he believe he can beat Anthony Joshua? And if he does, then why hasn't he fought him? Because he had plenty of opportunities, and he even admitted himself that it was him who didn't want the fight. In a tweet, when he was trying to dig out Tyson Fury, he explained he turned down a bigger offer to fight for undisputed with Anthony Joshua to go and fight Tyson Fury. He didn't take it. Why? He says he wanted to unify the division, become #1 undisputed. The fight is there is more money in that than the Tyson Fury fight, yet he turns it down, so he didn't want the fight. Then again, in the rematch with Tyson Fury, it was him continuously putting off dates, saying he doesn't want it. Now that doesn't sound like someone who desperately wants the rematch and desperately believes that they can win it, so the fight didn't happen. Obviously there is still a lot going on behind the scenes, although is there a lot going on? Do they have any case at all? I don't believe there is any chance of it seeing this third fight, because Tyson Fury even said he's never fighting Deontay Wilder again after those claims and controversial conspiracy theories. Those were just ridiculous, so he won't give Deontay Wilder that opportunity, which is fair enough if you consider what was actually said. Now, where does Wilder go from here? Charles Martin? Yeah, it's a comeback fight, I guess. Joseph Parker next? Nah, he's not going to do that. Andy Ruiz? Possible, but I don't believe he will do it. There was actually talk of Dillian Whyte himself getting in there with Deontay Wilder later this year. Is that a fight that Deontay Wilder would take? I'm not entirely sure. I would love to see it, but I'm not entirely convinced that Deontay Wilder is going to get in there with Dillian Whyte when there is so little reward. There is of course that WBC Interim World Championship that will be on the line if Dillian Whyte beats Alexander Povetkin. In fact, there is no Dillian Whyte versus Deontay Wilder if Whyte doesn't beat Povetkin, so that is vital for Dillian Whyte at the moment. But for Deontay Wilder, he needs to get back in there, get back in the ring, get a win, no matter who it's against. I mean, we don't want to see him in there with an extremely low level opposition. We want to see him in there with someone like Charles Martin. I guess he could have that for a comeback, because we would say the same for someone like Dillian Whyte, AJ Tyson Fury, that someone like Charles Martin, just to get a victory, would be a good fight. So I guess Deontay Wilder should be afforded that opportunity, but then he needs to go for a Ruiz, a Dillian Whyte, a Joseph Parker. He needs to fight those sharks in the water just outside of the champions if he wants an opportunity and to stake his claim for that opportunity. That is the deal at the moment. There are so many fighters who do want that opportunity to fight for a world championship, so Deontay Wilder should fight one of them, if not two of them. He should be fighting these fighters. If he wants that legacy he's talking about, then those are the fights he needs to take. Look at the resume of AJ. He's been fighting fighters like Alexander Povetkin, like Andy Ruiz, at Dillian Whyte at British level, Vladimir Klitschko, Joseph Parker. He fought them and they are still in the top 10 heavyweights in the world. Now it's the Deontay Wilder's turn to go and face those type of opponents, especially considering he's in his current position of not having a world title opportunity, and he needs to find a way to get one. Now, of course, Deontay Wilder is kind of one-dimensional. He is a fighter who the mold to beat him has been shown by Tyson Fury, but not everyone can do it. Just because Tyson Fury made it look quite easy doesn't necessarily mean that, say, other fighters in the top 20 will be able to do it. So Deontay Wilder still can be dangerous and a force in the heavyweight division, and be an exciting fighter that we want to see. Like Wilder Ruiz, great fight. Wilder versus Whyte, great fight. Wilder versus Parker, extremely interesting. Those are the type of fights that we definitely want to see, and are the ones that Deontay Wilder does need to be in. But the question is it the desire there to go through those type of fighters and to try and get the victory? Is the desire there to go Charles Martin and then go straight for those guys just outside of the champions? Or is he expecting to fight Charles Martin, then get another world title opportunity? That is not the way to do it. That is not how he's going to get that chance. He can try and talk his way there, but that won't work this time. From here on out, I think what Deontay Wilder needs to do is go get a win, then he can start talking about bigger fights and bigger names, but he needs to create that opportunity. He needs to stake a claim to have those opportunities against the bigger names, because it's one thing wanting to fight them, it's another thing saying that he's in a position where he should be fighting them, because he is a big risk for those guys who want their opportunities at a world championship. I mean, he's a high risk, low reward kind of opponent, so he needs to put himself in a position where they will want to fight him. Ruiz said he would. Whether he will or not is another thing. I believe he would. Dillian Whyte is also one who said he will fight Deontay Wilder, so he's got two fighters there he could face after the Charles Martin fight if he wants to. The big thing though is, does he want to? That is the question, and what Dillian Whyte is saying is he doesn't know whether Deontay Wilder will come back, but the only thing Deontay Wilder can do is prove it. No talking about it, the best thing he can do is prove it in the ring. Then we will truly know. Guys, anyway, what are your thoughts on this? Make sure you leave your thoughts in the comments below, leave a thumbs up and subscribe if you are new. Thanks guys.